Hello one and all, and welcome to Commander Class. In today's episode we are going to be going on to Planeswalkers because we've finished pretty much everything there is to do with creatures. Now again, it's one of those things, if there's anything you would like me to go in more detail on or anything like that, please let me know in the comments down below. But in this class we are going to be starting off with Planeswalkers. I'm just going to be giving like a gist of what they do, because in later classes, pretty much the next like 4 or 5, will be a breakdown, a more kind of in-depth version of different versions of Planeswalkers. But before I go on, a word from our sponsor. The sponsor of this video is me. I have started an Etsy page where I'm going to try and be selling clothes that I've designed, thought would be funny, thought would be cool, thought would be amazing on people's bodies. So I literally spent maybe a month or two looking at different resources and stuff to come up with the nicest clothes I could possibly find, with the coolest designs that I have done myself, with stuff like playmats, hoodies, t-shirts. I'm going to try and do phone cases. They're harder than I thought, but I do think that it is a really good thing to actually put into. So if you would like to help me out or help the channel out, please go onto my Etsy. It will be linked down below, and you'll be able to find very nice clothing and also be supporting the channel. So links down below, and also if there's any other designs, I will be putting on any of my social media, so please follow me there as well. So what is a Planeswalker? According to the wiki, a Planeswalker is: Planeswalkers are among the most powerful beings in the multiverse within the game. They represent the thematic identity of the players. The idea of them having loyalty counters further induces this idea. Planeswalkers is also a card type within the game. So if that information flew over your head, it pretty much is two types of things. When it comes to Magic the Gathering, there is the story and the lore behind it, and then there's the card game itself. So Planeswalkers in the story are very powerful people that are able to pretty much do that, like Harry Potter, where they flip inside each other and then pop somewhere else, or the Rick and Morty portal to a different universe or multiverse. Pretty much it's one of those things. The reason they're powerful is because they literally get to go, I want to go on vacation here, zoom, gone, pop out somewhere else. Now it's very difficult to do that when it comes to a game, so what they've done is they've added cards called Planeswalkers. There is two main ways to tell if it's a Planeswalker card. One's very simple. In the very center it will just say Planeswalker and then their name usually. The second one is it will have a loyalty counter. Where its power and toughness should be would be a number with this how many loyalty counters it enters on with. Then there's usually a number of abilities. Some are going to, I think some have 1, and I think the most I've seen is 4. And each represent will have a number. It'll be like a plus or minus number, and what you do is once per turn, if other than told otherwise, you're able to activate your Planeswalker. And when you activate your Planeswalker, depending on what number you pick, brings the loyalty up or down. When it hits -0 or 0 or minus further, the Planeswalker dies technically. The other thing about this is you cannot put minuses more than you can. So if you have, we'll say 5 loyalty, but the bottom ability, or also known as its ultimate, is an 8, you cannot activate it and go to -2. You have to have it 8. And then if you bring it down to 0, it then dies. So when you cast the Planeswalker with the mana on top, it enters the battlefield with the amount of loyalty counters at the bottom corner. Then, again, you pick which ability you want depending on how much loyalty points are on it, plus or minus in it, and then you get the new number. Now when it comes to your opponents and Planeswalkers, you're able to do 2 things. One, there is cards that gets rid of Planeswalkers, so it'll be like destroy target Planeswalker, or creatures attacking Planeswalker does X, Y, or Z. These are very good for them. The other thing is when you attack, you get to pick your opponent or the Planeswalker. So if I have, we'll say 4 5/5 beasts, and I attack with all 4 of them, and I go, I want 2 of them to go to your Planeswalker instead, and 2 of them to go to you. However, the same rules apply to them. They can go, I want to block the creatures attacking my Planeswalker or attacking me. So Planeswalkers are more than just cool abilities. They're also really cool to have their most powerful creature attack to save you a little bit of life or maybe a turn. Now when it comes to the legendary rule, it applies slightly different. Usually you cannot have creatures of the same name. Now that applies here. except for differently. Because there's multiple cards of the same planeswalker, because it's based on the story, you can have multiple cards but the same planeswalker. You could play different variations of Jace or Ajani, but it has to be a different version of that card. Even though it says like a legendary planeswalker Ajani, it will kind of pretty much base it on the card's name. A weird thing that some planeswalkers do is it does apply to your commander. You can only have a certain planeswalker in a certain deck. So if you have, we'll say, a pure blue deck, you cannot have a red or green planeswalker in it. However, this is where things slightly get a bit weird. The color identity of some planeswalkers change depending where they are in the story. Sometimes, for example, Ajani is usually a white, however there is a white-red version of Ajani, and there's multiple versions of white-green Ajani. So again, you cannot be like, I want to build an Ajani deck, mono white, and put all the Ajanis in, because you can't have the red-green or the red-white ones. But as I always do when it comes to these videos, I am going to give you a list of planeswalkers that I think are personally good or well known that you should have a look at. If not, there is a link down below with all the planeswalkers if you would like to look yourself. But there are planeswalkers just like Ajani, Strength of the Pride, Ashok, Sculptor of Fear, Sandra, Awakened Inferno, Domri, Raid, Dovin, Ban, Garruk, Savage Herald, Jace the Mind Sculptor, Karna Liberated, Kaya Orzhov Urspura, Liliana Dreadhorde General, Narset Transcendent, Nicobolus Dragon God, Oko Thief of Crowns, Ral Sek, Soren Markov, Tezzeret Master of the Bridge, Vraska the Unseen, and Renin 6. Overall, my thoughts and opinions on planeswalkers is I love them. I actually collect them. I have a big 4x3 or 4x4 folder that I collect planeswalkers in. I love them that much. They have changed them the last while. They used to sometimes be maybe 2 or 3 and maybe 5 a set, but now they're going and they've kind of, after the big massive war that just happened at the start of the year, have toned it down. A lot of people lost their spark and a lot of people are not planeswalkers anymore, and they're only really making one, and only in Thunder Junction 2 planeswalkers per set, which I'm not the happiest with, but again, I can't control it. I wish I could collect them more. When it comes to the story, it's usually a traumatic event that causes someone to spark and then disappear. So kind of like if you've seen a loved one die in front of you, or you went through a very hard time, you will literally just vanish and reappear someone else. The first time you can't control it, but then I think you can after. It's weird. So there is now some familiar faces you will see that don't have Planeswalkers cards anymore because they lost their spark. But I do find them really good to be very powerful cards in decks, to be able to use for people to attack them instead of you. They really do help a lot. There's also like a type of deck called Super Friends, where you pretty much make a deck of majority Planeswalkers, and they are very fun to have. I love Planeswalkers. My favorite one is Garruk, just big, beefy, slam axe dude. But I would love to hear your favorite Planeswalkers down in the comments down below, and probably your favorite card from that Planeswalker down below. Let me know your thoughts and opinions and all that YouTubey stuff. But as always, I have last commander class here, a playlist with all the commander classes here, and a subscribe button here, and I will see you all in the next video.